jump into the nitty-gritty, the 4 organs of elimination. This is a very easy way to like really understand the eliminatory process. Remember, metabolic toxins build up in the body, and this is essentially what causes all the rusting, the oxidation, the dis-ease, the disharmony, is metabolic toxicity accumulation in the body. If you've looked at like heart disease, for example, when someone's operating on the heart, you see in the videos, there's this like white pussy material that comes out. They used to think that that was like just cholesterol, right? And actually, speaking on that, it's been found that actually surrounding the heart of someone that has like a really like bad heart disease condition, there is like this cholesterol like material that insulates the heart. It's like, oh, what? And then coming out of the heart is this white oozy material that they found out is mostly calcium. We'll talk about that more in a different presentation, right? Heart disease, what's the common denominator with heart disease? No magnesium, high calcium. Just FYI, just so we're clear on that. Calcium supplements, really good way to silt up your body, really good way to have lifelong osteoporosis or arthritis. We'll talk about that later. But so anyways, you have 4 organs that work on elimination, filtration, on escorting all these normal toxins that are normally, you know, again, metabolic toxins that are normally going on in metabolism, even in cavemen. Same thing. It's part of the human biology. So the first one is lungs, respiration. The first mode of elimination is respiration. So in the morning when you wake up, stick out your tongue, look in the mirror. You may notice that there is like a white film on your tongue. Does anyone ever notice that? Who here's into tongue scraping? Right? We're having a cool conversation about this last night. Instead of giving somebody roses on your first date, give them a tongue scraper.
It's an excellent idea.
Right? It may not be as sexy, but if you have someone who can engage in intelligent conversation, which hopefully is the case, then, you know, it's enlightening and it's more useful, right? The roses, it's like, that's cool, right? But like, we like hygiene and cleanliness is a little higher on our priority list, I imagine.
Maybe.
So tongue scraping is amazing. One of the old raw food pioneers, Arnold Eckhart, he wrote the book, The Mucusless Diet, the Rational Fasting book. He's like really, you know, really a pioneer when it comes to like the really elimination, detoxification, raw food diets of the 60s and 70s. One thing he says in his Mucusless Diet book is that the tongue is the window of your digestion. Or he says the window of your health. So when you look out, you know, in Chinese medicine, they'll do tongue identification, right? I don't know if anyone's ever familiar with that, but they'll look at your tongue to see if you have like a fungal infection, for example. If you have a damp, wet spleen. In Chinese medicine, that's basically like Candida, basically. It's like a swampy, wet environment. You don't have digestive fire. You don't. Your digestion should be like an inferno. It should incinerate things. Your stomach pH is about 2.0, ideally, right? That's how you produce intrinsic factor for vitamin B12. That's how you break down protein or stimulate protein or proteolytic enzymes to break down proteins, is that you have to have that fiery acid-based stomach in order to do that. And a lot of times we eat in raw food. This is kind of a thing that happens, or at least Chinese medicine theorists really focus on this, is that they say don't eat raw food because you're going to get a damp, wet spleen. It's too damp. It's too wet, right? That is a theory based on people that don't eat raw food. This very interesting thing. I just want to go on one quick little side on this. One thing I've realized after cross-referencing so many things, and I'm into Chinese herbalism like nobody's business. So I really love the Chinese system, but like any system that was created 5,000 years ago, there's going to be outdated perspectives. And there's relevance too. So that idea is basically you want to eat cooked food, hot food, warming food. But again, it's a little superficial because it's like, okay, I could eat a hot dog. It's a hot food, right? Right? But that doesn't really, that's probably not what they're talking about, right? So we have to get closer. Like, what do you mean? Like maybe broths, root vegetables, maybe like a quinoa or black rice, something like that that actually makes more sense and is actually nourishing, and that's actually what they do, right? But you can do a raw food diet or a high raw food diet and not have a damp wet spleen. What's funny about that theory is that the Chinese medicine approach, they actually have the exact herbs that counterbalance a damp wet spleen. So that's why the whole raw food Chinese herbalism integration has come about over the years. My good friend and master tonic herbalist Ramania Dean Thomas wrote a book called Raw Qi, which is about how to do a raw food diet and have a lot of qi, have a lot of firepower, have that digestive firepower so you're balanced, right? So that's cool, interesting idea. And that's kind of what we're actually talking about here indirectly as we're talking about the lungs. The lungs, eliminatory-wise, are bringing up all the metabolic waste, or a lot of the metabolic waste that comes up through the esophagus and up through the respiratory tract, and like I said, comes out on the tongue. That's what that is. That's why you have that film on the tongue, is that's metabolic off-gassing. When you sleep, typically your mouth is closed, right? It just coats over on your tongue. That's why morning oral hygiene rituals are so important. Like tongue scraping, like oil pulling. What's the point of oil pulling? Well, it's basically to soak up all the bacteria residue that's in your mouth through a fat, through a lipid transportation medium, otherwise known as like coconut oil or sesame oil, right? If you look at like the Ayurvedic methods of doing these things, or olive oil. I like coconut oil. It's the most structured form of fat in the plant-based diet, and I think it soaks up the most amount of residual toxins, and it probably tastes the best too. And you swish it in your mouth for about 20 minutes while you're showering. You just let it keep going, and then you'll notice you spit it out, and it's like yellowish. Like it mops up all that toxic residue that's in the mouth. You'll trip out when you see it. You'll be like, whoa, okay.
Sometimes it like foams or like fizzes.
Fizzes? Right. Hydrogen peroxide, food grade hydrogen peroxide as a mouthwash, really powerful as well.